Blake Griffin news, of course, if you guys don't know, Colin Cowherd of The Herd, which is on Fox Sports 1, talked about how moving to Detroit and how the Clippers just got rid of Blake Griffin the way that they did basically was a symbol of his career is done. That he doesn't feel like he can be the number one option anymore, and that he was never really going to work in the NBA in terms of being like a championship caliber player.
Yeah, like a number one option on a championship team. I put Colin Cowherd in the same like hot take vein as I do Skip Bayless.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of other people. Mostly just Skip Bayless. Stephen A. There you go. Stephen A. is the other big one. I would say Colin Cowherd is like a step below them, but he's pretty close. He's the most bearable of the three of those guys. And usually I don't agree with him because I think he makes his hot takes just to make his show more popular.
Right.
This one's not that hot though. Like I think that this one is like it's pretty close to being accurate. Like, I wouldn't necessarily say his career's over just based on his play. Like, he's still a very above-average player when he's on. But based on the amount of money and just, like, the lack of passion or not necessarily effort, but he just plays, like, a heartless form of basketball. Like, he doesn't care that he's playing. And he doesn't necessarily seem like he wants to play in Detroit specifically. Mm-hmm. Like, I think the guy just wants to go do stand-up at the comedy store, you know, like he wants to just move back to LA and date Kendall Jenner and do his stand-up comedy routine.
Yeah, we'll probably see him if he doesn't decide to retire soon, just to move back to LA and, you know, do whatever he does. But to me, though, he hasn't played a full like NBA season of all 82 games since his rookie year.
Yeah, which was his second year.
Yeah, it was his second year. And even then, like since, I think, what was it, 14-15
season.
11-12 was his rookie year. Since his 15-16 season, you know, he hasn't played over 62 games.
Yeah, that's
which,
bad.
You know, obviously acutes to all the injuries. But, I mean, even the injury where he injured himself by punching a trainer.
Yeah.
Like, what? To me, that just kind of shows me that he was... And I've always said this, and I've always had the stand about Blake Griffin, even though it might annoy some people. I do think that he is a very talented player. I don't think he's not talented at all, but to me, the thing that really gets me is that he should be a better player than he is.
Yeah. No, I think maybe 2 years ago I would have agreed with you. Like, I think based on the athleticism, which I don't think he has it anymore, I think he should have been a lot better than he was 2 years ago, even last year. I think he should have been better. But, like, now, like, I think he understands that he doesn't have the athleticism anymore. Like, his knees aren't there anymore. Just his legs, like, his lower half in general is just not capable of doing the things Blake Griffin used to do.
Yeah.
That's why he shoots threes now, which he's decent at. You know, decent enough to still take threes. And he can shoot from the mid-range. Like, he made a concerted effort to become better at those things. You know, whether it was an attempt to justify his contract, one, prove Chris Paul wrong, or just like he wanted to beat Chris Paul.
Yeah.
I think that he quickly learned that he doesn't have the things he used to do, like the tools in his arsenal. He learned that this season. He doesn't have those things. His team is just, both of the teams he's played for this year are nowhere near the caliber of the Rockets. Yeah. So he can't keep up to his mortal enemy, Chris Paul. And like, I think he just realized he wants to do stand-up comedy. Honestly, I'll keep going back to it. Like, there's a point in a comedian's career where they get very, like, self-referential and they make fun of themselves a lot. Yeah. And I think that when Blake Griffin ends up retiring from the Detroit Pistons, he's going to go through a very dark period of comedy where he makes fun of how awful his last season was.
Yeah. It's just, to me, like, I think he's just not... He's just... Yeah. I don't know. To me, he's just never been the guy. As much as you know, people want to prove me wrong. Like, what did that Clipper team really do? And I understand, you know, injuries, if you want to say, like, happened to the team. Of course, you had Chris Paul injured, Blake Griffin injured.
Yeah. I think the biggest thing with that Clippers team was just, like, the cultural impact of the team was big.
Yeah.
Like, they really played exciting basketball. Whether they were ever even close to winning a championship is kind of besides the point as far as what they did accomplish. Was like, people are always going to remember the Lob City era of LA basketball. Like
Yeah.
there was a couple years where they were the team in LA when the Lakers were bad and the Clippers were good. Like that did happen. So I think people will remember that and just how fun some of like the moments were.
Yeah.
But when it's all said and done, like they didn't accomplish anything, you know?
Yeah, and I think that's really the sad part is that this team had all the talent, all the potential in the world. You know, when they were dubbed Lob City,
Yeah.
a lot of people, you know, made remixes to the Tyga song,
Oh yeah.
Rack City, Lob City. And, you know, all the hype was there with that LA team. But to me, Blake Griffin, although he improved his jump shot a little bit and he's, you know, it's more consistent a little bit now. But to me, it's not consistent enough to where I think like Anthony Davis took his jump shot, a Boogie Cousins took his jump shot.
Yeah.
And now, you know, these big men, now they have to shoot threes. There's no longer a time where big men can't shoot threes at least a decent clip.
Yeah. I think the biggest thing with Blake Griffin that I think people will start to realize is the case is Blake Griffin became a superstar because of the novelty that was Blake Griffin's like jumping ability.
Yeah.
Like it was a novelty. Like it was like a freak show act. Like not in a bad way, but like literally a freak show. Like nobody can jump as high as this guy can, you know? That was the thing that made him so popular, you know? Like he never was ever the best basketball player on the court when Chris Paul played with him, you know? And regardless if he wanted to think that or not, like he was a superstar because of his dunks, you know? And players who get stuck in that level of like, this is why you're famous or like, this is why you're a star.
Yeah.
It never turns out like there's never a long lasting impact for those players. Like think of Nate Robinson, right?
Yeah.
Like had a really big like cultural NBA impact because of the dunking he did and how small he was. But like long lasting, he was never had the touted talent that Blake Griffin did, so to say. But still like it wore off and now there's probably a lot of kids who watch the NBA who have no idea who he is.
Yeah, I mean, we saw this ESPN article recently that talked about how Blake Griffin is the new Carmelo Anthony. Do you think that's the case with Blake Griffin? Do you think he is turning into Carmelo?
As far as just like a guy who's supposed to be the number one option on any given team he's on, gets paid that way, and never lives up to what he should or what the expectations are, it's 100% accurate.
You think so?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I mean, I could see it because, you know, Blake Griffin was supposed to be the number one option. Carmelo was as well. I think the thing with Carmelo, though, oh man, he just has that reputation of ball stopper.
I would the one thing with Carmelo that I'll defend him forever. All right, besides the last year as a Knick, but that wasn't even necessarily his fault.
Yeah,
Carmelo always wants to play basketball. Like, he has passion to play basketball, and he never plays like dead in the eyes basketball. Blake Griffin this entire season has either been on autopilot or just like looks like a White Walker from Game of Thrones. Like his eyes are just like glazed over, like he's just going through the motions, you know?
Yeah.
That's what I see from him. And when your best player or the guy who should be your best player plays like a robot, like you're just not gonna win games.
Yeah, I mean, like the lasting memory of Blake Griffin will probably be just him in the dunk contest and just him jumping over the Kia car, which is kind of a shame because I think, although I criticize him and I'm probably one of his biggest critics in terms of just NBA people that talk.
You've always been hard on Blake Griffin.
I think he's always been a 20-point scorer per game type of guy, and I appreciate that in him. But
I'll give another equation to, that's not a word, I just made that up. Another similarity between him and Carmelo. Like, for a good amount of Carmelo's years as an NBA player, always a very high volume scorer. Like he scored like 28 points per game, but it's like a meaningless 28 points per game. Like it doesn't win you games. Like, which it's a very rare occurrence that a player can score like that, but it just doesn't help your team. But Blake Griffin and Carmelo Anthony are like the two main culprits of that in the NBA. And I think that is like, Carmelo can't even, like, he doesn't even score 20 points a game now. But like, let's say Carmelo 2 years ago, That's where Blake Griffin's at right now.
Yeah.
Where he can still score 25 points a game, but is it even winning you?
Yeah, is it worth anything?
Is it worth anything? I don't think so.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, the one thing, though, that I will probably criticize Blake Griffin for the most is just the fact that in that game when they played Toronto, he moved out of the way of the game-winning dunk.
He did do that.
Which, you know, if you're supposed to be the number one guy, you care about basketball per se, because we don't, this article or just this take was taken after the fact.
Yeah.
I want my number one guy, or I want the guy that I believe I paid the most and that I, gave everything, the team I built around him, or I made sure that there's some solid pieces around him.
Yeah.
I want that dude to just always put it out there on the court.
Yeah, like if you're getting paid that much money to be that good, you better at least just be in front of him.
Yeah, just at least contend.
You don't even need to put your arms up, honestly. Just try, stand there at least.
Yeah.
You don't move out of the way, I think the one thing that I think about Blake Griffin at this point in his career, and I've joked about the comedy career thing a lot.
Yeah.
I think that he used basketball. I don't necessarily think he's ever had a major passion to be a great basketball player. I think he used basketball as a platform to accomplish things he'd rather do.
Interesting.
Would Blake Griffin ever have been a successful comedian, which you could say he is now. He's been in movies. He has stuff he does with Kevin Hart. He does stand-up comedy. I think he used basketball as a platform to reach those things.
No, that's a shame. Because I think he had all the talent.
People are good. People are gonna absolutely hate our opinions on this video.
They're gonna hate that take. But it's not. It's kind of crazy to think that with all that talent, with all that ability, all that potential he had, just with that Clippers team. I think one thing is that we'll remember him for is he's very injury prone, which is why that Clippers team never really went anywhere except for 1 year where they blew a 3-1 lead.
They blew a 3-1 lead like the Golden State Warriors.
And the fact that he just jumped over a car, which
I'm always gonna remember the Mozgov dunk.
Mozgov dunk's actually
that to me is the biggest thing he ever did. That was so insane. Even now, or the Kendrick Perkins dunk. Both of those are the craziest things he ever accomplished. And if your biggest thing you ever accomplished is 2 in-game dunks that meant nothing other than the fact that they were crazy in the moment, what does that say about your career? Yeah. It definitely doesn't say you're worth $38 million when you're 33.
Yeah.
Which is something that's going to happen if he doesn't retire before then.
Yeah.
Last thing I want to say, I don't think he's going to finish out his contract he's on.
You don't think so? Oh, yeah, you said it.
I just don't think he is. I think I said it in our first take. I don't think he's going to. I think he'll make it 3 seasons in of the 4, maybe, and then he's going to be done.
Yeah, it's... let us know in the comments down below, guys. What do you think about Blake Griffin? Do you still want to pay him that much money? Is he a number 1 option on your team? And if your team had a chance to sign him in free agency, would you? Let us know in the comments down below.
Let's hear it.
And look back. Look at the horizon. Look at your career. Look what you've become.
Who cut his hair for this? That's what I'm...